Welcome to Ranking John Cena Retirement Opponents. I'm going to go over the people who I think that John Cena will face in the last 40 dates he will give to the WWE. Also, I saw something I just want to point out. I don't know what video I saw this in, but I would actually really like John Cena and R-Truth to win a tag team title. R-Truth and his childhood hero winning the tag team titles. I would also like Randy to win the tag team title with Cena if they're going to do a one-off thing. But let's get into the actual video. Before I start, I just want to say all images are copyrighted to the Google and rightful owners. You know, I got the images from Google. Anyway, I'm giving Chris Jericho an honorable mention because he's in AEW. Why Chris Jericho, though? If you recall, Chris Jericho was John Cena's very first pay-per-view opponent at Vengeance 2002, I believe. And the only reason he's an honorable mention is that he's in AEW and he cannot. I don't physically think we're going to be able to make this match happen. But now let's get into the top 10. Let me start by saying I'm not the biggest fan of this match, but I can see WWE putting it on, which is why I put it at number 10. I think that they'll try to do Uncle Howdy versus John Cena in tribute to the late great Bray Wyatt. I do think also, if we're really going to do this, and I am going to have some honorable mentions as we go along, like the Wyatt Six, Eric Rowan, Joe Gacy, Dexter Loomis, could all face John Cena on Monday Night Raw or Friday Night SmackDown in the preparation to face Uncle Howdy. And I didn't bring this up with Chris Jericho, who would win or who would lose, but Jericho, I feel, would Jericho's part, Cena would win. I also think Cena would win here because it might just be me not being the biggest fan of Uncle Howdy, but I just can't see Uncle Howdy beating John Cena on his farewell tour. And of course, Chris Jericho's in the other company, so it would never happen in the first place. But I just don't think that Cena would lose to Jericho. When I made this list, I knew Solo Sikoa had to be on it. I also knew he had to be towards the bottom. Well, how many spikes did he give him? Like 7 spikes? John Cena needs to get revenge on this guy, and he needs to do it at the Elimination Chamber. I don't know if he's winning the Royal Rumble, but I'm like, I think that the Elimination Chamber is a good spot to put this. Don't put too much emphasis on it. Just get him out of the way. And if you get the two Tongaloas, well, I think one's injured, but like, we can have that. And we could have a pretty fun match with Jacob Pot too. But I think that Solo should definitely lose to Cena, and Cena gets his revenge in a throwaway kind of match. CM Punk versus John Cena doesn't happen. It's no problem with me. I'm putting this match on the list because, again, I can see WWE doing it. I know a lot of people want it. Personally, if we don't get it, I am not crying like the other two matches, really. Anything maybe below 5, I'm not crying that if we don't get it. But here's the thing. I've been giving my predictions of who should win. Also, we should try to do some Money in the Bank and Chicago. I think Money in the Bank's in. I don't know where Money in the Bank is, but I thought it was in Canada. I'm not 100% sure about that, but I can see this going either way. If Cena wants to put over Punk, he could. But I can also see Punk losing because of the revenge of Chicago with the Money in the Bank, where CM Punk actually defeated John Cena. This one is pure, I want to see it happen. So I found this picture on Google of Oba Femi as the NXT champion. Will it happen on? Is it Tuesday? No, I think it's a week from Tuesday for when I'm recording this. I don't think so. I think it's gonna happen at Stand and Deliver, but I think Oba Femi will be the NXT World Champion, and I think John Cena might say, "I want to give back. I'm going to NXT for one match." I was also considering Trick Williams for this spot, but I do think that Oba Femi might be a better person because I think in this situation, Oba Femi's going over. John Cena is losing. I don't think he should win the uh, NXT title. And speaking of really quick, I mentioned earlier in the video I would like to see John Cena win some tag titles. Fantasy book, he should 100% win the Intercontinental title. I don't know who against, but we'll get there when we get there. Anyway, Oba Femi is going over on John Cena in my fantasy booking. And almost Femi looks like a made star for whenever he's coming to the main roster in a year or two after that. Oba Femi retains the NXT title against John Cena. When I was making this list, I did not see Dominic Mysterio, Dirty Dominic Mysterio, so high on this list. It just happens that I would rather have this match more than the others, except over Femi maybe. But that's my fantasy booking, and it might not happen. And I'm trying to rank with WWE's booking in mind. Dom is the most hated person in the WWE right now, and you know I can see the John Cena being like the most hero liked person in the WWE, and Dominic Mysterio definitely needs an attitude adjustment, and he needs to STF you. And John Cena could be the perfect person to do that. Also, in, in terms of John Cena, Dom is a guy you could just throw on any pay per view and have John Cena win. I think this is like a backlash match. So Cena wins against Dirty Dom, who maybe this is the match that the Intercontinental title changes hands in too. It wouldn't be my first pick, but it is a pick if Dom wins the Intercontinental title and John Cena beats him for it. The rumored match for WrestleMania. I think it should happen. It should not happen at WrestleMania. This seems more like a SummerSlam match for me. It's well, I just said Dom's maybe the most hated person, but Logan Paul might be hated in wrestling and in real life. So I also wouldn't have Logan Paul win. I think he should get his attitude adjusted, SCFU, just the same thing I said with Dom. I just don't want it to be WrestleMania. We're coming up to WrestleMania, and my guy in the next couple of picks, and it is not Logan Paul. His one lucky punch won't meet the attitude adjustment. This is actually the match I would pick for SummerSlam. So if I'm fantasy booking this, and remember I'm fantasy booking that this might not be what WWE does, I would have Cody lose the title maybe at WrestleMania. Then he goes, I also have Cena win the title at WrestleMania, which we'll get to I think in the next pick. But let's talk about Cody right now. And Cody's not doing anything. He fails Money in the Bank. And maybe actually no, excuse me. I think Cody wins Money in the Bank in this fantasy world. I'm not sure if that's the best pick for this year, but let's just go with my idea. Says I am cashing this in at SummerSlam, and Cody beats Cena for the world title, and we go back to Cody Rhodes as the world heavyweight champion because in my fantasy booking he is the world heavyweight champion, and I'm the WWE champion. In this match, I do see Cena losing. The whole thing is, if there's no world title involved, there might not be a chance that Cody might be put over. I think no world title, maybe Cody wins. Excuse me, no world title, John Cena wins. World title, Cody definitely wins, and that's the way I'm booking that. Sit back, because this is was my original number one, but I could. It's not that I can't see this match happening. This is definitely happening. The other two matches, I think I want a little bit more, so that's why I put them up. So I am on fantasy booking again. Randy Orton, you are beating Gunther for the World Heavyweight title. And you know what? Maybe you drop it to Gunther. And you win it back. And you're a 16-time champion. And you're Randy's just like going around punting people in the head. And Triple H is like, no, we got to vacate that title. But John Cena won the Royal Rumble in this scenario. And he's like, I get what Randy did. Now it's going to be 16-time champion versus 16-time champion. The other thing I would do is Randy saying, I want a warm up match against a generation superstar, Braun Breaker. And Triple H is saying, like, oh, you want that? Well, you want to put the Intercontinental title on the line? And he's like, no, I just wanted the match, but if you're going to offer me the Intercontinental title, I'll take it. Randy beats Braun. And this is where John Cena wins not only his 17th world title at WrestleMania, by the way, but he also wins the Intercontinental title that he would drop the next night on Raw in some kind of triple threat match. I just threw Sheamus and Chad Gable in, and Chad Gable won the title off of pitting Sheamus with Gunther who would be my backlash opponent and my next one on the list, I think. But that's all fantasy booking. I do think this should be the WrestleMania match. They never had a one-on-one at WrestleMania. Edge and Cena never had a one-on-one at WrestleMania. So, that could have been an honorable mention, by the way. But that's just talking out loud. That's how I would book it. I know that's a little much, let's say, but I'm just fantasy booking as an autistic person who kind of thinks outside the box. And Randy Orton is definitely was my first pick when John Cena said his retirement tour. Let's go to the top two now. I said this in the last pick that Gunther was the next one on the list. I think, listen, if it's not WrestleMania, because I could still do this at WrestleMania if we don't do the Orton thing, and I think WB is more likely to do this over Orton at WrestleMania, Cena wins. In my fantasy booking that we just were talking about, Gunther would have taken John Cena out of that triple threat match, leading Chad Gable to beat Sheamus for the Intercontinental title. So John's still the world champion in the fantasy booking land, and he was attacked by Gunther, so he retains the title against Gunther, who of course was screwed over by Randy Orton just by my fantasy booking. On the road, I do think we get Ludwig versus John Cena as an honorable mention. But I do think that Gunther puts up a hell of a fight, but he just doesn't win. If there's no title on the line, maybe Gunther does win. But if the title match that I'm fantasy booking, yes, John Cena wins. But again, like Cody Rhodes, if it's not for the title, I could totally see Gunther winning. And then it's number one, and I almost feel it's obvious, but you know what? Let's go see who number one is. Not only is this number one, but this is the guy I see retiring John Cena. Yep, I could see it. If it's not WrestleMania where he's still the Intercontinental Champion and he loses to John Cena, then I think this guy is the one. I believe in the TV garden where John Cena grew up watching wrestling. This is the guy who retires John Cena. That's why he's my number one. Remember, Randy Orton was my number one, and he was my number two, and Gunther was probably my number three when we just heard about this. And I'm like, I want Braun Breaker to beat John Cena on the last Raw of the year and retire John Cena. John Cena goes out on his back and we don't see him again. And that's my pick to retire John Cena. Not only retire him, but be his last match. And I think Braun Breaker definitely needs the passing of the torch from John Cena to be the next guy in WWE. And I would also like to say, like, comment, and subscribe because we are back. We got the new computer, and we will be pumping out these videos. The Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh series will resume, and more what ifs. I don't know. I'm not a top 10 guy, by the way. So if you're seeing this saying, oh, he's going to do a lot of top 10s, no, I'm not doing a lot of top 10s. I'm a what if guy. This just happened to be like, oh, I thought I'd make a top 10 list of John Cena because John Cena's retiring. And that's how this is going to be. If you like the top 10, maybe I can do it more. Let's get this video some likes, some comments, some shares. The numbers go up. I can do more top 10 lists. But I'm really focused on what ifs. I have the, I don't even know. I think I have the Undertaker winning the United States title from Mr. Kennedy back in 20. Ooh, wow, we're in 2024. We're about to head to 2025, and I almost said 2007, 2007, and just Braun Breaker's the guy. He's gonna be the guy to beat Cena, retire him, and stay nice for disability rights. And I'll see you down the road. Stay nice for disability rights, and I'll see you down the road.